Hello everyone, my name is Rachinsky Joseph, and this presentation is based on my research paper titled The Digital Divide in People with Disabilities, a Social Justice Perspective. I'll be exploring how unequal access to technology impacts people with disabilities and how this issue connects to ethics, global development, and social justice. This project is for my CGS 3095 Technology in Global Arena section RVC Fall 2025. And my goal is to highlight both the problem and potential solutions to bridging accessibility gaps in our digital world. Initially, this study investigates the relationship between disability and digital exclusion. As technology becomes central to education, healthcare, and employment, people with disabilities often remain marginalized due to poor design, high costs, and weak policy enforcements. My analysis draws from global studies and ethical frameworks to propose solutions that promote fairness, accessibility, and inclusion for all users. Initially, the digital divide is more than just a gap in technology. It's a social and ethical problem. People without equal access to digital tools face barriers to opportunities and self determination. For those with disabilities, this divide is intensified by inaccessibility, websites, apps, and public systems. Understanding this issue requires us to examine both technological design and ethical responsibility at local and global levels. The digital divide can be defined as the inequality between those who have access to modern information technology and those who do not. This gap exists across regions, age groups, income level, and especially amongst people with disabilities. Accessibility standards such as WCAG 2.1 were created to improve usability, but compliance remains inconsistent across the world. As shown in this chart, the biggest accessibility barrier reported in 2024 was poor website design, affecting 64% of users. High cost of assistive technology and weak policy enforcement also contributed significantly. These numbers reveal that technical solutions exist, but they are not reaching the people who need them the most. Accessibility must be built in priority, not afterthought. This graph highlights major policy gaps across sectors. Government agencies show a 68% compliance rate with accessibility laws, while the private sector lags behind at only 43%. Although laws like the ADA and Section 508 exist, enforcement is inconsistent, and many digital platforms fail to meet standards such as WCAG. This shows that having a law doesn't always guarantee access. In the United States, over one-third of federal websites remain inaccessible to screen readers. Despite strong legal frameworks, enforcement remains uneven across agencies. However, advocate groups like the American Foundation for the Blind continue to push for digital accountability and training for developers. Meanwhile, in Thailand, accessibility is improving slowly, particularly in education. Many schools and universities now use mobile platforms for learning, but most lack assistive features. Cultural stigmas and limited government fundings are major barriers to inclusion. Community-based tech initiatives have begun to fill the gap. Furthermore, the European Union has taken a more structured approach with the European Accessibility Act, requiring all digital products and services to be accessible by 2025. Enforcement varies by state, but overall progress is strong. The European Union demonstrates that coordinates policy and design standards can make inaccessible a cultural norm. When comparing global regions, we clearly see contrast. The European Union leads in both policy strength and accessibility progress. The United States maintains strong laws but struggle with enforcement. Meanwhile, Thailand represents developing nations still working towards basic inclusion. These differences show the importance in aligning policy with real-world practice. Ethical theories help us interpret why accessibility matters. They allow us to examine the issue not just as a technical or a political problem, but as a moral one. We'll look at three perspectives: the ontological ethics, utilitarian, and rights-based ethics. A utilitarian approach focuses on the greater good for the greatest number. Inclusive technology benefits everyone, better usability, broader audience, and more innovation. Accessibility is not just an ethical right, it's an economical and socially beneficial. A rights based perspective views accessibility as a human right. The UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disability emphasizes digital inclusion as essential to equality. Denying access to technology effectively denies access to education, employment, and communication. Now, from a deontological standpoint, fairness and duty are key. Designers and policymakers have a moral responsibility to ensure digital inclusion. Accessibility is not charity, it's justice. Failing to include all users violates the principle of equal moral worth. Together, these perspectives reinforce one message. Inclusion is both an ethical duty and a global necessity. True innovation happens when technology empowers everyone, regardless of ability. Accessibility is not a side feature, it's a central ethical progress. Looking forward, progress depends on four key pillars: education by teaching inclusive design in universities, policy by enforcing accessibility laws, AI innovation by developing adaptive tools, and partnerships between governments, industries, and advocate groups. These steps can turn inclusion from policy into reality. In conclusion, accessibility must become part of our culture, not just compliance. True inclusion means embedding accessibility into every stage of design, education, and leadership decision making. To creating lasting impact, we must first start with education and awareness. Universities and training programs should teach inclusive designs as a standard skill, not as an elective. When future developers, engineers, and business leaders learn to build with accessibility in mind, inclusion becomes instinctive, not optional. Next, companies and governments need to champion accessibility through leadership. Executives can model inclusion by budgeting accessible audits, hiring diverse teams, and rewarding accessible innovations. Public agencies can strengthen laws so that only accessible technologies are purchased for schools, libraries, and workplaces. We also need to amplify users' voices, especially people with disability, in product design, research, and policy making. Their live experience can reveal gaps that algorithm and checklists overlook. At the company level, small actions matter too. Developers testing color contrast, teachers using captions, designers writing alt text, and organizations celebrating accessibility success stories. Every improvement built a cultural belonging. When accessibility becomes a shared cultural value, not just a legal checkbox, everyone benefits: students, employees, creators, and innovators alike. As the saying goes, accessibility is culture, not compliance. By treating inclusion as a universal responsibility, we can bridge the digital divide and move towards a truly equitable digital future. These references represents peer-reviewed sources and illustrational reports that support this research. They include global and ethical analysis from the American Foundation for the Blind, European Commission, and the leading academic journals.